Howdy, hey, hello, fellows, hello, friends, people, vehicle enthusiasts. What's popping, baby? Let's go. We're gonna do a tier list of vehicles sorted by their usage and effectiveness in battle. So we have 4 different categories. There's going to be attack, so vehicles that are more offensively oriented. Defense, so those which are more on the defensive side. Tank, which is pretty self-explanatory, where it's like defense but more. Imagine defense but multiplied by like 14,000 or something. And then support, which is gonna be like your basic healers or stuff that doesn't really fall into the other 3 categories. So let's get right on started here, and let's just start with this police car. So personally, I think that a police car would fit into the support category, because if you think about it, if you were to take a police car and put it into like a battlefield, it wouldn't like be as effective as of like an attacker, because it's fast, but the main thing that it has going for it is it has the sirens and the flashing lights. So really what it could be used for as a distraction, it like if you were to say, for example, have a bunch of you have the enemy vehicles, right, and they're coming over a mountain. Then all of a sudden behind them you have like the police car going like woo woo, and then all of a sudden like some of the cars have to like turn around to see what's going on, but like it's only that police car, and then boom, all of it, like a crane just comes in and knocks everybody down. Nobody saw it coming because they got distracted by the police car. I think that's why I put it into support. Although I think for a fire truck, it would probably go into tank, because it's pretty similar, because it can do the sirens as well. So I would say because of this, a police car is kind of low tier on the tier list. It's not it's not very strong in comparison to the other vehicles. So the fire truck, it's much heavier, it's much bigger, it's going to be harder to knock down. So I think this would be way more effective to have on the battlefield than a police car. Like the police car, it would be faster, but really it doesn't have any other advantages. Of course, the fire truck has like a bigger hitbox, so it might get hit more often, and it's going to be slower. It's going to be harder to maneuver, but I think a higher skilled driver would be able to make more use out of it. The reason I'm not putting it into support is just because it's so heavy. I don't think that it's going to be as effective in the support field as a police car would be, or at least like leaning in that direction. It's leaning more towards tank, in my opinion. Plus, like if you use the fire hose, it just seems like something that would be tanky type weapon. A sports car is going into attack. Because it's fast. That's about basically all it can do. It's fast. It'll be able to avoid other cars very easily. It can outrun them. It can outmaneuver them a lot of the time. It's pretty self-explanatory. It doesn't really fit into the other categories. It's just really quick. Now, I think a Jeep would go into defense, because it has a lot more maneuverability options, it can like go off-road more, so you can go into more areas. You have more options with it than you would with a sports car. A sports car, you would have to like stay on a flat surface. If you're going onto gravel or like really bumpy terrain, you're not going to do so well. Yeah, so just the way that the Jeep is built, it's going to be more effective on the defense side, because it's going to be able to protect itself from other vehicles more effectively than the sports car would be able to. The motorcycle, that's going to go into attack, because it's more weak on the defensive side. It's pretty similar to the sports car, although you might be able to maneuver a little bit better with it than the sports car would. It also has a much smaller hitbox, so you're not going to be taking as much damage while you're in it. So I think it's a bit more effective in that way. The combine harvester, I would say that this is going to fall into the tanky side, somewhere between tank and attack, because this can obviously destroy smaller vehicles pretty easily, so it's pretty attack heavy, but it's also just going to be really slow and have a big hitbox, but it will have those like that strong shell that'll protect it. It's not going to be taking too much damage. Ice Cream Truck. Ice Cream Truck is going into support because obviously it provides nourishment for the drivers. I don't think that it can really be classified as anything else. I don't know the top speed or anything of an ice cream truck. It's just kind of going to be providing a source of consumables for the drivers so that they stay. It provides calories basically. It's not going to be doing anything else. A bus is also going to be going under support. Now you might be thinking to yourself, a bus should go under tank because it's pretty big, it's pretty heavy, it's pretty clunky. I think that it can go under support just because of how many people it can hold. If somebody were to like die in one of these other cars, you could take somebody out of the bus, put them in there, and then keep going if the car is okay, if only the driver has been hurt. But you can use this as basically a way. It's kind of like a revive, if you know what I mean, where you have like extra lives in there. That's kind of where I see that as a support unit. Now we have the Excavator. The Excavator I'm going to put under attack. This could also go under tank, somewhere between tank and attack. I think this goes under attack because you could use this to kind of flip other vehicles if you get near them. Of course, you're going to be slow, so it's going to be harder to do that. But I think it's going to be more effective as an attacker than, say, the Combine Harvester or the fire truck, because you need a source of water for the fire truck, first of all, in order to use the fire hose. The Combine Harvester is just going to be really slow, really easy to avoid. I think this one's going to be a bit more trouble for attackers to deal with. A forklift is also going to go under attack because you're going to be able to go up to people's sides and lift up the forks, and you're going to be able to flip them over on their sides pretty easily. Of course, it's not fast. Excuse me. It's not fast, but you're going to be able to effectively use that as an attacker. It's not really going to be defensive either. It's heavy, but it's not going to. It's just not going to be good for defense because of how small and tall it is. It'll pretty easily be flipped over by other certain vehicles. We have a crane here. Crane is going to go. Crane is pretty debatable. It can fit into all of these because it can be used. The crane itself can be used for attack or support. You could potentially pick up the enemy vehicle and drop them down somewhere and on their side or something. But you could also pick up your allies. You could, if they're like flipped over, you could try to flip them over with the crane without doing too much damage. So it's really hard to say. I think I'm going to actually put it under support. It's just my opinion, of course. I think that the bulldozer is going under the tanks. It's just pretty self-explanatory. It's not going to be like as fast as a sports car or as powerful as the excavator or as useful as an attacker as the forklift. It's basically going to be like a big shield on the front end. A van, it's going to go under defense as well. It doesn't hold as many people as like a bus would be able to hold, but it's also like bigger and heavier than a sports car or something like that. You won't be able to have as many options as the Jeep, but it might be a little bit heavier potentially. You could also have like extra parts in there. Perhaps you could put something in there just to increase the weight of it. You can do a lot with a van. A dump truck. Dump truck is going under. It's a tough one because you could put something in the back of it and dump it down. I think I'm going to put it under support because you could put a bunch of gravel in the back of it and then make your own defense line using that. I think that's the best place it would fall under. It could really fall under attack, tank, or support, but I think I'm going to put it under support. A golf cart. So a golf cart, the advantage of a golf cart is that you might be thinking, no, that's not very defensive because it's open and because it's not very fast. It's not really heavy like all the others. But as a defensive thing, it can you can easily get out of it. And like as a driver, you have more protection, or well, you wouldn't have more protection, but you have more options of getting out of there. If you were to be in, say, like the bulldozer, For the ice cream truck, it's going to be a lot harder to get out if there's something happening. But with a golf cart, like say if the crane's picking you up, you can easily jump out and run away. You can't really say the same for every single other one. Some of them will be easier. Motorcycle, obviously, but I think the golf cart's going to be best under defense. I also think the tractor would fit under defense because it's not big enough or heavy enough to be considered a tank, but it's also not fast enough to be an attacker. I think that it's pretty good because it doesn't have like the big hitboxes that these do. It's on the smaller side. It's harder to land an attack on. So I think that's going to fall under defense. The semi-truck, obviously, it's going to be put under tank just because it's so big. If it flips, it's done. It's going to be really hard to maneuver. You could jackknife with it. It's just going to be, you're going to have a lot of issues. But if you can effectively maneuver it, if you can control it well and you know all of its inputs, then you'll be able to do a pretty decent job as a tank with it. And then finally, we have the fire truck. Or not the fire truck, the ambulance. That's also going under support. So ambulance, you can have people in there to heal or revive your teammates. You can. That's pretty much it, though. It's not going to be as effective for its vehicular options. It's pretty much just another like truck or van or something, but with you're going to be able to like use it to heal or save like your other partners as drivers, but not really help them with their vehicles or anything like that. But anyway, that is my vehicle sorting done, and I think I did a pretty good job. I don't know. I guess I can sort them by tiers, how effective I think they would be. So obviously, I think we'll go left to right, left being the highest tier and then right being the lowest tier. So the Excavator is going to be a lot more effective as an attacker than any of these three. These two are pretty much just good for their speed. That's about it. They're going to be good for like circling around the opponents and trying to get them to crash into things. I would say the Forklift would actually be number 3. So Excavator, sports car, forklift, motorcycle in that order. Motorcycle, it's just kind of like a smaller and weaker sports car if you think about it. You can go off-road with it, of course. It's going to be you're going to have more options with it than the sports car, but it's just not going to be as effective in the meta. Now we have the defense. I think the Jeep should definitely be the highest. Well, the Jeep should be the highest. The van can probably go the lowest because it doesn't have anything really special going for it. I mean, it's pretty basic. It might be good in the neutral, but other than that, it's kind of basic. A tractor, I think the tractor would go above golf cart because the golf cart's effectiveness is going to be that you can get out of it. You're going to have to like already have be like dead or have your golf cart wrecked before you're going to be able to make use of its advantages. So it's kind of like it's got like a pretty decent comeback mechanic, but you have to be on the back. You have to be on the, what's the word for it? The negative. I don't know. It'll just be better in a corner and at low health. I think that's going to be the advantage it has. That's about it. The tanks, I definitely think bulldozer. Let me put the bulldozer up front. I think that one's going to be the best. It has an actual shield. It's so it's like actually effective in what we're trying to rank it or classify it as. I think we'll put semi-truck up next. It has, of course, it's really hard to control it and it's really difficult to learn, but I think that at high level play it's going to be a bit more effective than these other two. The fire truck, it's hard to say because the combine is a better attacker, but the fire truck you do have the fire hose. You could even use that as a lasso perhaps, or you even have like the ladder so you can climb up somewhere. If you have to, if you can come up with some use for that. But I think that, yeah, it has more options, but they're just going to be more situational and not really super effective. Okay, so for support, I definitely think that the ice cream truck should be up front because it's going to be actively supporting everyone at all times, whereas the ambulance, it's going to be only at like reviving. It's only going to be at dire situations. So the fire truck, it's going to be pretty. It's decent. I mean, all the supports are pretty decent, I think, personally. Other than the police car is kind of at the bottom. Just even like if it just had like something else going for it that the fire truck and the ambulance didn't already have, other than speed. But then that's the sports car. It's just kind of like an amalgamation where it's kind of a jack of all trades. It doesn't have too much going for it. I think I would put the bus up second because that's also, it's going to be more effective than the ambulance, just because you're going to have actual backups and you don't have to wait for anyone to be healed or revived or anything like that. Someone can just pop out, get in the dead man's vehicle and go, and it'll be all ready to go again. I think it's hard to say with the dump truck and the crane, because the crane you can use a lot more. There's just limited ammo, and the dump truck is the problem. But I think it has such a unique usage to where it can manipulate the battlefield more. Although you could do that with a crane if there's anything you can lift up, like pipes or containers or like storage containers or stuff like that. But then at that point, there's like, you can also, if there's stuff to lift and move around, you can do that with some of the other stuff, like the forklift, perhaps, you could potentially do that with the excavator. Kind of, it kind of serves a similar purpose. The excavator kind of serves like a similar purpose to the dump truck, to where they're both terraformers. But I think that because the dump truck has limited ammo, it has to go to number 4 on the support side. But other than that, I think we got these all sorted well and good, and all their tiers placed pretty well, and I think they're all in good locations in their respective categories. So thank you for watching. I hope you've learned a lot. I hope this will help you determine your main when you enter the vehicle wars. I don't know if, of course, some of these might be actually, again, like if you're going one-on-one, if you're just doing 1v1s, some of these might be higher tier than what I placed them as. Like maybe the motorcycle would be really good, whereas all of the supports would be terrible. Well, not really. The crane might be still good. The dump truck might still be good. Even then, at that point, I think the police car would be bumped up past the ambulance. But generally, since people prefer team play, I think at this ranking, it's pretty good. But I thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.